I would like to show you how to upgrade or remove or change your gCADPlus installation under CrossOver. Let's imagine that I'd inadvertently installed the Imperial version of gCADPlus and I wanted to change to the metric version. First, run the uninstall tool that you'll find in the CrossOver box, and we'll pick uninstall. That will run relatively quickly and we can then finish. The next thing to do is to remove the bottle. gCADPlus installs into what's called a bottle in CrossOver, and we need to come down to this minus sign here and delete the bottle. So for all intents and purposes now it's been removed from gCADPlus, that is, has been removed from the computer, but there are still some remnants there that you need to remove. So we'll go to Finder, and if you look in your Documents folder, there's one there still called gCADPlus, and there's a lot of information in there, and it can interfere with a subsequent installation. So let's move it to the trash. So we removed it. So all traces of that version of gCADPlus has now been removed, and once we've done that, we can install a Windows application, and we want to install the metric version. So just type the first few characters and that pops up a couple of scripts, and we can now choose the metric version of gCADPlus, and it runs a script, and we can click up here, install and finish, and then install, and the script provided by CrossOver people very kindly now automates all of this process, copies some fonts across to the CrossOver area, and then allows us to run gCADPlus. So we'll get the gCADPlus setup routine running in a moment. We just wait. And we're nearing the end now. We run the gCADPlus routine and just accept all of the defaults, just like we do in a Windows installation. And very soon, in that little window, in that CrossOver window, we should have it. I'll just close here and finish. And again, just be a little patient, and we're now done. So here's this little CrossOver window. So where we had gCADPlus Imperial before, we now have a new bottle, and it says the metric version. So if I click on it, there's this particular bottle, and I can now run from here. Let's run it, and we'll run it in demonstration mode, so we won't bother about installing our username and password, but we'll just close that tips box, and we'll choose one of the, just to test it to make sure that things are working, we'll choose any one of these, but the most useful, I think, to experiment with is one called Front Garden, and what it does, it produces a model space that you see in front of you, but also an A2 size sheet which has got a logo information and other information. If we come back here, the interesting thing I think is if you click on any of the symbols here, over here in the properties box you can see that's Banksia blecnifolia, a ground cover Banksia. So all of the plants in this design have been tagged with the name of a species, and that information is drawn into the plant schedule where the symbol and that red blob can be used where you are producing groups, but it's not being used just here. In addition, in this template, there are other symbols here. So if you want to put a symbol for the ruby salt push, just imagine you want to pop it in here. You just click in its middle, drag it across, and then zoom in, and I'll unselect all now, But if we select this ruby saltbush, let's spin it around. It's obviously got some sort of shadowing, and that new symbol is in the drawing. And if we want to just update the schedule, we go to gCADPlus and plant schedules and lists and update it. And we're looking for Enkylina, and here it is. There's the symbol that we just added to the design, and the number of symbols, number of plants that are specified in the design automatically updates. So you can get a good idea then of how this is going to work. And if you go to the landscape view and we come over here, there's that particular species. We do have a tool that puts some text in the middle of each symbol, but I think that's enough to demonstrate how to change your version of gCADPlus. And if we go back to model, remembering that everything here is full size and symbols come in at about 1 meter in diameter, or 1,000 units. If I measure from one side to the other, we've got about 1,000 units. So everything is full size in the model. Whatever you do in the model is automatically reflected in a layout space. And if you want, you can set a particular scale factor in here. Notice this view scale is just arbitrary 34, but you could set whatever scale factor that you want to have in that design. We like to include a scale bar in the design, leave it in model space, and it's down here. So if we measured the distance from this point here, roughly from there to there, should be 5 meters or 5,000 millimeters. So everything's full size and is reflected in the layout space.